First up, we have Depression Speaks by Yazel De Jesus from the Issue 6 Mental Health magazine. For Yazel, she says, Depression Speaks is about how depression impacts the daily lives of the people who suffer or have suffered from it. It is acknowledging the disorder and shedding light on the battle. This poem speaks volumes to me because of my personal experience battling it and because I needed to highlight the misunderstandings and truths about depression.
Depression is a constant feeling of sadness and loss of interest, which stops you doing your normal activities. Different types of depression exist, with symptoms ranging from relatively minor to severe. Generally, depression does not always result from a single event, but from a mix of events and factors. Depression, the three-headed snake that cannot seem to die, the evil thoughts that race through our minds telling us that we aren't good enough, making us insecure. Depression speaks through our eardrums, amplifies the voice in the back of our minds. We hate to get consumed into this long chain of words we call a sentence. It wraps itself around our necks and drags us along because when depression speaks, it deceives us and tells us we cannot make it. It breaks our windpipes and leaves us breathless. It electrocutes us and leaves us shaking, confuses us to make us in denial. Khalif Browder could have had a chance at life, but depression speaks loud enough to silence us, dim down our voices, belittle us. The mind of the depressed is an inescapable jail cell, and it tells us we cannot make it. Let loose the shackles and break free. There is power in our silence. Depression has a weakness. It cannot stand to hear us speak. Instead, it tries to speak for us. The mind of the depressed is a battlefield. A war against the voice that pretends to be your own. We'll be damned if we wail enough. We'll be damned if we wail loud enough and still go unnoticed. Even though we escape covered in bloody scars, we birth a new version of ourselves. Depression spreads like venom, a disorder that can be cured and reborn, a monster that produces 130 suicides per day. Because depression speaks, and it creeps in every nook and cranny of the brain to expel all the wisdom we have gained about ourselves. We wail to have one day to stand in the sun, but depression speaks, and it has spoken. The mainstay of treatment is usually medication, talk therapy, or a combination of the two. Increasingly, research suggests these treatments may normalize brain changes associated with depression. Thank you.
Next, we have Tainted Beauty by NICKAYLIA Anderson from the Issue 5 Beauty Standards magazine. She says, my poem for this open mic event touches on the unrealistic beauty standards that society has for women, especially women of color. It means a lot to me because women's body types are diverse and I have been criticized for something I could never control.
The meaning of beauty is tainted. The dictionary definition, a combination of qualities that pleases the aesthetic senses. Society's meaning, try very hard to look, sound, and be like someone else. A persona that does not exist. For women, it should be a goal to have long legs, a slim figure, long shining hair, white skin. For Black women, we're already at that place where we are taught how to act and be white. Straighten your hair like the white woman. Talk like the white woman. Our standards are to be another race. If you're not, you're ghetto. If you get mad, you are undermined and criticized. So back down because this system is here to stay. Beauty itself has changed and transformed, becoming more strict and more precise. It has become a standard, a bar that we constantly aim for but can never fulfill. Beauty has become so unrealistic. Young girls are taught from a young age, instead of self-love and self-appreciation, aim to be skinny or to have that slim figure, an hourglass shape on every model, in the magazines and the television ads. But little do they know about what these models have to endure. The behind the scenes are for their eyes only, after all. The standards for beauty have become so specific, so manipulative. Industries will profit off of your insecurities. Wear makeup to hide your flaws. Lose the weight that you gained. Invest in a diet plan. Eat less. Exercise frequently. Feel bad about yourself again and again. But it's for your benefit because this is what society needs. The idea of beauty is ruined. In place of a popular but negative concept, no pain, no gain. It means the emotional scars as much as the physical ones. It means strive for perfection while perfection does not exist. Feed into the toxic idea of attraction, into the idea of how one should fix themselves when there is nothing to be fixed. Beauty is tainted because it is suddenly fake love over self-love. It is perfection over imperfections. It is criticizing flaws instead of accepting them. Finally, it is breeding a world of broken people. If this is what the standards for beauty have become, if these are what beauty should represent, respectfully, it's not wanted.
Next up, we have Define Black by ELLIOT Babilonia from the issue 4 Black History magazine. He writes, "My poem is about my identity and the process it was for me to embrace it despite my family bringing me down about who I am. My journey to self-discovery was valued above all else. It's also about the obstacles I had to go through in order to love myself for who I really am, no matter what anyone else tells me."
We grew up reading books, watching TV shows, and learning about those around us. You would think that would include everybody, but let's be real. Who really runs this world that we live in? Not black people. As much as I would love for that to be true, I can't seem to find a reflection of myself within the entertainment industry. Usually, when a black person is on television, you see someone loud, ghetto, and immature. Usually, when you see a Hispanic person, you see them with a sombrero on, eating tacos, and working in some labor jobs. It's rare to see us thriving or in positions of power. That's one similarity between what we see in entertainment and in real life. What you don't see is our culture, our upbringing, and our history. But not every black person on television is how they portray us to be. I don't even like fried chicken. I'm not dark-skinned, with 4C hair, or have much black culture. So, am I really black? Ask that to anybody in my body. They will see my pale skin and small eyes and say no. But what about the numerous amount of times I've been called the N-word? How about my black, brown-skinned mother who gets called a negrita all the time? Why don't I look like them? My mama fucked a white Puerto Rican guy. Pale skin, hazel eyes, and all. And unfortunately, I came out just like him. The man who left when I was just 10 years old. How typical. When she gave birth to me, she was so happy to see that I came out looking as white as snow. She told me to trim my eyebrows, suck in my lips, dye my hair blonde, wear contacts, and not to tell anybody where I'm really from. Now, I'm just a little white boy, like the ones in the movies. My mama didn't want to take me anywhere. She would get weird stares, and people would scratch their heads. Everybody thought she was my nanny. Nobody would really tell me I look like her. Instead, I look like the man that left and never came back. Hide your accent, hide your hair, definitely hide those lips of yours. After coming from the Dominican Republic, my mom just wanted me to live the best life that I could. The life of a white guy. What if I finally wanted to embrace myself? I don't want to be them, I want to be myself. I look at everybody in my hood and don't nobody know what I really am. If I'm not white, then what the hell am I? I'm Dominican, Italian, and Puerto Rican with Haitian ancestry. I'm a black Latino man That's my truth. My disguise was over when it came to signing a form, and there went my white privilege. When they saw me with my mama and the dye in my hair would fade away as my hair started to curl up again, when I started to really love myself, you could see my big lips. What you see when you really look at me is a beautiful Afro-Latino man who just so happens to have some white in him. You do not learn about no black history, no Asian history, no Hispanic history, and you certainly don't see anybody looking like me walking around. I do not even look like my own family anymore. I don't see half of them, and I have finally been trying to embrace who I really am. So you can try and define black, but the truth is that Africa is the most diverse continent in the world, filled with many different shades, shapes, and sizes. We are all unique and rich in culture and beauty. That's where we really all come from, some more than others. I'll never forget where I really come from. So tell me and define black.
Last but not least, we have Our Bronx Girl by JERONIQUE Campbell from Issue 3, Overlook Communities magazine. Our Bronx Girl is a tribute to the strength, vitality, and hardships that exist for young women of color. Despite the challenges that exist for young girls in our community, we will always find a way to persist and succeed.
One 17-year-old girl and her immigrant parents. She's 5'5", thicker than a Coca-Cola bottle, but smarter than any college professor you would ever meet. She was always passionate about everything that she did, no matter what it was. From the countryside to the Bronx, her parents worked hard and she went to school. 5:30 a.m. Hop on the train. 6:50 a.m. Get off and walk to school. 9 hours later, she was free from the reckless teens and the careless actions. Public school is bad for you, her parents said. So instead you go to private school. And there was ifs, ands, and buts and tantrums being thrown, but the decision was already made. Her classmates always talked about gossip and jewels, but she had the next study group to go to. So she studied, and she planned, and she passed, and she followed on every command her parents gave her. Clean the house and study a book. It was a circle of brooms and books. Friends didn't exist to her parents because she had no time to catch up on the latest trends. At least that's what they thought. But there was one thing that nobody knew about our Bronx girl. Since she was a child, her body moved to the sound of music. Her parents encouraged it for a short time, then it became restricted, even on her own time. But our Bronx girl had the moves of a dancer, and she found time to commit to her joys. What looked like mopping with music on was dancing with a prop. What looked like fidgeting was actually moving her body to the rhythm. This all went on until one fateful day, during a 20-minute study group break. Our Bronx girl was on her way to a bodega when she heard the music. It was graceful, organized, but chaotic enough to stop her in her tracks. She searched and twisted and turned on the calm street, and she turned once more as if in slow motion. And she feasted her eyes on the source of the music. It was a tiny building that was across the street from the bodega. She bought some gum and dashed across the street to see.
The heart-calming commotion was so inviting. But she looked around and saw that the building, it was small, but it was an old-looking building on the outside. The door to it was open, so she walked in. And on the inside, it was brand new. There was a waiting room setting, but it was empty. But the music was pulling her body deeper throughout the building until she found the room. It was a dance studio. Glass mirrors all around, a white, clean floor with one of those wooden beams to hold on to. She was tempted, not only by the settings and the designs, but by the music. She was tempted to walk in, and she did, and she began to dance. And her mind said, no, we have to go back to study. We have to go back to the study group. They'll catch us and they'll say that we're trespassing. Please leave. But she rises and she twists herself in a beginning position. Her body flows and moves throughout the music as if the music itself was calm and joyful, and it was a spirit of its own. And then the music shuts off. Damn, kid, where'd you learn moves like that? Frightened and frozen, our girl turns around and looks in one of the mirrors to see an Asian, lean-bodied woman. She had a pixie cut, a short one, a Tupac hoodie with some black sweats on, with a very surprised look on top of everything. And our Bronx girl panicked. I'm sorry, I'm sorry for trespassing. I didn't mean to. I'm just gonna leave. I wasn't here. Please. Whoa there, kid. You're not in trouble. If anything, I'm glad you chose to dance here. What do you mean? I just bought and renovated this building to teach kids in the Bronx how to dance. It's a new project that Broadway opened up a few weeks ago. I'm a co-choreographer for Aladdin. Oh, wait, did you just say the co-choreographer for Aladdin? Like the Broadway show Aladdin? You sound like a fan. Of course I am. So how long you been dancing for? Since I was a kid. Kind of. I had to stop though. Well, what would you say if I offered you a way to start dancing again? Oh, I'm sorry, but I can't teach here. No, kid. I'm not asking you to teach here. I'm asking you to be a part of the real thing. Excuse me? How about you become a dancer for Aladdin? We can use a dancer like you. Our Bronx girl's face became heated with excitement that soon deflated dramatically. Oh, well, I would love to, but you would have to speak to my parents. Well, let's do it. Huh? You're serious? Of course I am. A talent like yours cannot go wasted. So, the woman set up a meeting with the Bronx girl's parents, and after 6 months of meetings and planning and pushing, our Bronx girl was able to perform in her first Broadway show. The moral of this story is, when you have a passion and you work hard for it, you can make it. No matter where you live, no matter how you look, no matter what you sound like. A star will always be a star. And especially if you're from the Bronx. Thank you.